Guys, what we discussed in the last time, we discussed about the how to pull the Docker images and how to pull the Docker images and the Docker info, Docker images, Docker pull, hello world, Docker images, Docker run. So how you can run and how you can create the Docker Hub account, right? Docker C is nothing to display all the running containers. To display all the containers, you can use the Docker ps-a. To stop the container, you can use the Docker stop container ID. Remove the container, Docker rm container ID. Remove stopped container unused containers, Docker system -a. Right? We discussed about these. Now you know how to pull the Docker images, how to run as a container from the image. You know how to remove the containers and how to list the how to see the what are the containers are running and how what are the images are available. You can right how to see it. But we already discussed about Docker file creation and Docker tag creation, how we can create a Docker file. So we can create the Docker file and we can build the image from the Docker file, right guys? And we can push it to the repository. We can push it to the repository. So Docker file and the tag creation. So for example, Docker file, we have a few commands are there. We need to learn those commands from run, cmd, and run. So for example, this is a small example file, guys, from Ubuntu or from CentOS. So on we can create a Docker image. From the Docker file, we can use the Docker build command to create the Docker image. So Docker image. So how you can create the Docker image by using the Docker build command -t my first image dot means it will take the local Docker file. How you can create the tag? You can create the tag Docker tag my first image. So Hare Krishna, whatever the repository, right? The Docker Hub. So dockerhub.com, sign in. Yeah. So what is my repository name? My repository name is Hare Krishna 857. 857. This is my first image. So this is my first image. Yeah, guys. So these are the two images I have. So in the previous class, in the last batch, we discussed about the first image and Tomcat images. So I want to push the image to the this repository. Definitely we need to create the a tagging. We need to create the a tagging, guys. We need to create the tagging. We'll show you how to create a first repository. Something like ls. We can create a file, Docker file, by using the D is the capital letter, a Docker file. The Docker file. So press I insert mode. So from CentOS, from CentOS, for example, right, CentOS, run echo, run one, run echo, run two, run two. CMD, what it means, what it CMD means. Echo from image. echo from image, cmd echo from latest, echo from latest, run echo run 3, run 3 guys. So for example, this is the Docker file. So what are the, you guys can see these are the from CentOS. It will download from the repository the CentOS from the CentOS. So run, it will run the commands on CMD. It will execute the commands, run. So we'll show you guys. This is the, for example, a small Docker file. I will tell you each and everything. So this is a Docker file. I want to create a image from this Docker file. Image from this Docker file. This is the Docker file. So from CentOS, it will download the image first. It will download the CentOS image. It will download the CentOS image from the Docker Hub. Then it will run these commands. So what is the command to build the Docker images, guys? Docker build -t. So what is that? First image. I'm creating first image. So image dot. So where it will come this first image, it will comes from the Docker file. So Docker files means this is in our same directory, right? You can use the dot symbol. It will take the Docker file. Otherwise, so the Docker file is in different location. You need to give the path of the Docker file. You need to give the path of the Docker file. I'm creating the a first image from the Docker file. So guys, sending build context to the Docker daemon. So from CentOS, it will pulling the CentOS. Yeah, it will pulling the CentOS. Then run echo. So run one, yes, it is executed. Run echo run two, it is executing. So command echo, it is executing. Everything will successfully built and successfully tagged first image dot latest. It is created first image dot latest. Now let's check Docker images. So what are the images are there? 28 seconds ago, you created a first image. What is that, guys? You created a first image. Docker, Docker images. So Docker ps-a. So 40 seconds ago, it is running 47 hours ago. Docker rm, Docker rm remove Docker id, paste, copy, paste. Yeah, you need to stop, right? Docker ps-a. Yeah, there is no containers are running. Docker images. So what are the images are the Docker RMI. RMI means remove images, Docker images. You can use the image ID, Copy, we don't need this one. Paste. Yeah, Docker images. So Docker images, CentOS 7, right? From CentOS 7. That's the reason it is downloaded CentOS 7. The first image is created 2 minutes ago. So what is the how much? How much MB? The size is 231 MB. The size is 231 MB. So this is the name of the image, image ID. It will create image ID. Whenever we build the image, it will create the image ID and the name of the image, and the tag is latest. So if you are not creating any tag, it will create as a latest, guys. So how you can create the tagging? So what is the command, guys? Docker tag first image. So what is my Docker repository name, guys? Hare Krishna 857. Hare Krishna 857. So this is my repository name. Then first,
Bro, Hare Krishna spelling wrong.
right? Hare Krishna KRISHNA 857. First image. First image. If you want to create the tag with latest, you can also give a latest. You can, guys. So this is a image tagging. So this is image tagging. Yes. Now you can check Docker images. So Docker images. So Hare Krishna 857 first image. Now you can push it to the, how you can push the Docker image to your repository. So you already logged in, right? Docker login. Successfully logged in, right? Docker info. Hey guys, we already logged into the server. No need to log in. Yeah guys. So push Docker image to the repository. How we can push the Docker image to the repository? Yes, Docker file. From Docker file to we use the Docker build command to, so we build the images. Then you can push it to the Docker hub. So push it to the Docker hub. Docker push Hare Krishna 857, my first image or first image. It automatically push it to your Docker hub. Then so pull it to the something like this is the dev environment, this is the production environment, this is the QA environment. So we can push this image to the a number of environments. So we can push this image to the number of environment, right guys? Yeah, so we'll do it,
Yes,
guys. So we'll do it. How we can push the image to the push Docker image to the repository. So what is your Docker image, guys? How you can check it? Docker images. What is that? A Docker images. So this is the image you want to push to the Docker hub. So what is the command, guys? Docker push. Docker push Hare Krishna. You can directly copy this, guys. Copy and paste it. So using default tag latest, the push refers to the repository Docker IO 857 dot. So denied request access to the resource is denied. Why? Yes, sudo now. Yes, guys. Yeah. So the Docker image is pushed. The first image is pushed to the repository. Push to the repository. Let's check. Yeah. So what is this, guys? This is my first image. If you want to download this to the other images, Docker pull, guys. Docker pull. So the Hare Krishna first image and the tag name latest. You can automatically download. So you can automatically download to the other environments. For example, this is the one server. So this is the dev server. So another server is like a QA server. So you can download this image to the image to your repository, guys. So what you can do is the task, guys. Task one is, so you already created the Docker Hub account, right? You already created the Docker Hub repository account, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, right? Yeah. What you can do, Artifactory. Yesterday I already told you, right, guys? Artifactory. So what is Artifactory, guys? To store the in real time, in real time, to store the to, to store the images, Docker images, to store the Docker images. So what are those? What are those Artifactory names? Names call it as names call it as JFrog Artifactory. What is that, guys? So one is JFrog Artifactory. The second one is Nexus Artifactory. So what you guys can do? You guys can sign up. You guys can sign up these two accounts, and push 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 your images to these two Artifactory tools. Guys understood? Guys understood or not?
Yes, bro.
Yeah, you guys can do. So this is the task for you guys. So this is the task for you guys. So Artifactory in real time to store the Docker images, to store the images only. So what are the Artifactories names? Call it as JFrog and Nexus Artifactory. You guys can sign up these two Artifactories and push your images to this two Artifactories. In the real time, these two are using, guys. Okay, guys understood? Yeah. Now you understood, right, guys? If you push the Docker image, your Docker image to so your Docker image to your Docker Hub account, then you can pull from the Docker Hub. You can pull from the Docker Hub on any environment. So no need to create so the libraries and the software, so something like a Java, Tomcat, and the CentOS. We don't need just create install the CentOS and run the Docker container. Run the Docker container. So we can pull the Docker images and we can run the environment. Guys understood? So every deployment, guys, every deployment. So what is the user benefit? For example, these are the environments. So these are the three environments. What are those environments? This is a dev environment. Guys, this is a real time, guys. Please watch carefully. So production environment. So this is my artifactory. So the artifactory is JFrog or Nexus Artifactory, guys. What this? So these are the Artifactory. So what is Artifactory, guys? Tell me, guys, what is Artifactory?
JFrog.
So these are the developers, guys. These are the developers. They are developing the code, and they can use the they can run the CI pipeline once they build the Docker image. So once they build the code, they use the CI pipeline. So they use the CI pipeline and create the Docker images. What they are creating? They are creating the Docker images. Yeah, they are creating the Docker images, and in the CI pipeline, it pushes to the, for example, it pushes to the a JFrog or Nexus Artifactory. Every future deployment or bug deployment, guys. So they're creating the images. The image is something like so this is 1.0, this is 2.0, so this is 3.0. So these are the images, guys. Once they are creating the Docker images and push it to the JFrog Artifactory. Push it to the JFrog Artifactory. Something like in your dev environment, if you run the playbook, right? This is the CI, guys. What this is? This is a CI. And in the CD, so continuous delivery. So what they are doing? So they are running a playbooks. They are running the playbooks. So by using a something like AWX, guys. What this is? AWX. Guys, I will give you another task, guys. Task 2. What is Ansible control tower and how we can use it, guys. So this is also, so something like AWX is the example. AWX. So example AWX, guys. So you guys can also search it in the Google or YouTube, so you can learn this, guys. What is Ansible control tower and how we can use it? Example AWX. This is also a task, guys. This is task 2. You guys can do it. Okay. Yeah. For example, this is the Ansible control tower, guys. So this is the pipeline. I'm running the pipeline. So what is the pipeline? Deployment.aml. For example, this is the pipeline, guys. So once I run the pipeline, this pipeline, so it will searches the image. So it will searches the image and it will deploy to the dev environment. The same like as a C, the same like in QA environment also. The same like QA environment. The same like QA environment. The same like the same like prod environment also. So it will, so once you run the playbook, right, it will, so it will suggest the image, Docker image, and so pull it to the and apply to the QA environment. Again, it will suggest to the environment and it will deploy to the production environment. So only one image, so we can deploy on the environments, dev environments, QA environment, and production environment. If you create the Docker images, if you create the Docker images, then you can push it to the JFrog. You can use it on anywhere. You can use it on anywhere. Guys, understood? Now you got the clarity? Guys, understood or not?
Yes, bro.
Yes, right? Yeah. So this is the procedure they are following. Why it is? So why it is most popular? Because of this. So if you create, so there is no dependent libraries or don't need to install anywhere. You just create the Docker image and push it to the any environment. So push it to the any environment. Guys, understood? Now you guys are understood, right?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. So these are the, for example, dev environment. So pull the image and run as a container. So run the containers. Guys, understood? So Docker file creation. How we can create the Docker file? So how we can create the Docker file? So Docker file contains instructions to build the Docker image. So what are the instructions, guys? So these are the instructions from CentOS or from Ubuntu. It will get the image from the Docker repository. The image is Ubuntu. The image is Ubuntu. Are CentOS 7. Are CentOS 7. So in the Docker file contains the instructions to build the Docker image. In the Docker file, so we will use the DSL domain specific language keyword. So for creating the Docker file, so what is the language we are using, guys? We are using the DSL domain specific language keyword. So Docker engine will process the Docker file instructions from the top to bottom. So so in the Docker container, so Docker engine is running, Docker service is running. So the Docker engine will process the Docker file instructions from top to bottom. So instructions from top to bottom, top to bottom. So below are the Docker file keywords. So every Docker file will starts with the from keyword. Guys, understood? So every guy, you guys can remember, every Docker file will starts with the from keyword. From keyword. Below are the Docker file keywords from maintainer, copy, add, run, cmd, entry point, env, label, user, work directory, expose, and volume. So these all are the few commands. So we have a many number of, but these commands, these Docker file keywords are using every time. So that's the reason we are discussing about these Docker keywords. So from and maintainer keywords. What is a from and maintainer keywords? So from indicates base image. What is that, guys? Base image to run our application. So what is the base image to run our application? On top of the base image, we will create our own image. So on top of the base image, we will create our own image. What is the syntax, guys? From image name. Example, from Java JDK, from Tomcat, from MySQL, from CentOS. So it will download these images. Maintainer, it represents who is the author or a Docker file. Who is the author? Something like a maintainer is Hari. So tech world with Hari. So tech world with Hari. So who is the maintainer? Maintainer is Hari. Now you got it. So from indicates the base image. So from indicates the base image to run our application. On top of the base image, we will create our own image. So we will create our own image. You understood? So every Docker file will starts with from keyword. Every Docker file will starts with a from keyword. So from keyword. Guys, understood? Yeah. So what is a copy keyword? Copy is it is used to copy files or folders to image. So it is used to copy a files or a folders to image while creating an image. While creating an image, it is to copy files or folders. What is the copy command? It will copy the files or folder to image while creating an image. While creating an image, it will copy the files and folders. Syntax: copy, source and destination. Example: copying a var file from the target directory. So copying a var file from the target directory to Tomcat Web Apps directory. So copying a var file from the target directory to a Tomcat Web Apps directory. Copy target maven web app dot var. So for example, this is web app dot var local user local tomcat web app maven web app dot jar. So it is copying from copy from one location to another location while creating the image. Okay, add a keyword. So what is the difference between copy and add keyword command? So what is the add command? What is the command? Copy. It will copy a file directories. If it will copy files and directories to the image while creating an image. Add command. Add is also used to copy the files to image while creating an image. Add keyword can download file from the remote location. Add keyword will extract the file from a file while copying to the image. So what is the difference? Just so it is copying a files folders to the target. So target to the source and destination, but so it will not download the file from the remote. So copy will not download from the remote, but add command, it will download the files from the remote location. HTTP add keyword will extract a tar file while copying a image. Add keyword will extract a tar file while copying the image also. So it will do. So what is the difference between add and copy, guys? Copy is just a source and destination, but add command, it will download file from the remote location and it will extract the files. Note, zip files we have to extract manually. So syntax. So what is the syntax? Add a source and destination. Add URL to download and the destination. URL to download and the destination. What is that? Remote location. So it will download the remote location. So run and CMD commands. Run and CMD commands. Note, there is no use of writing multiple CMD instructions in Docker file. So there is no use of writing multiple commands, multiple CMD instructions in the Docker file. Run under CMD keywords. So we use it, right? We use it the run and we use it the run and CMD commands. Now you got it, the run and CMD. So run, it is used to execute the commands on top of the base image. It will execute the command. So run echo run 1, it is executing. Run echo run 2, it is executing. CMD also same. So it is used to execute the commands on top of the base image. On top of the base image, it will execute the commands. Run command instructions will execute while creating an image. Run mkdir workspace. It will create the directory. If you want to create a directory, we can use the run command. If you want to install git, run install git. So we can write multiple run instructions. They will execute in the order from top to bottom. So what is that? So we can write multiple run instructions. So we can write multiple run instructions. They will execute in the order from top to bottom. CMD. CMD is also used to execute the commands. What is that, guys? Run also execute the commands. CMD also execute the commands. Add also copy the files. Copy also copy the file. So from is nothing but so it indicates the base image to run our application. So maintainer who is maintain the Docker key file. Docker file, right, guys? So copy file, but it will be copying from local to local. But add command, it will download from the HTTP remote location and it will copy the file. So run and cmd both are the same. It is execute the commands on top of the base image. Run command instruction will execute while creating an image. So run mkdir, run install git. So we can write multiple run instructions. They will execute in the order from top to top to bottom. CMD is also used to execute the command. CMD instructions will execute while creating the container. So example, so we can write multiple CMD instructions in the Docker file, but Docker will process only last CMD instructions. So Docker will follow only last CMD instructions. So we write two CMD instructions, but the Docker file so will follow only the last CMD instructions. Will follow the only last CMD instruction. Guys, understood? Now the difference between run and CMD. So we can write multiple CMD instructions in the Docker file, but the Docker will process only the last CMD instruction, CMD sudo start tomcat. So it will execute the tomcat start. It will execute the tomcat start. So the difference between run and CMD. So from Ubuntu Docker file, build Docker image, run Docker container. So download the Git. So run while creating the image. So CMD, so when it will execute, so run it will execute while building the image, but CMD will execute. So CMD will execute start tomcat docker. So while creating the container, so CMD will execute the CMD also command execute command, run also execute command. So run will execute the while creating the Docker image. So CMD will execute while creating the container. So that's the reason it will execute only the last CMD command to 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 s- to while starting the container. While starting the container, so while creating the image. Guys, now you understood the difference between run and CMD. Entry point keyword. CMD instructions we can override using the runtime CMD. So CMD instructions we can override using the runtime CMD. So it will print only date, CMD will not execute. So it will print only date, CMD will not execute. Docker run image one date. So image one date. So we can change Docker file name. So move Docker file name. So create a Docker image using Dockerfile 1. So Docker build hyphen Dockerfile 1 1-t. So image 2. Image 2. Yeah, it will build the Docker image. It will build the Docker image. Docker images. CMD instructions we can override using the CMD runtime. So it will print only the date. It will print only the date. CMD will not execute the last in the Docker file command because of, so it's already executing the date command. Seems that time. So in the CMD, so in the CMD, these two CMDs will not execute because of I'm running the CMD command while while run the container docker run image date. So this will execute, the CMD will not execute. So we can change the Docker file by using the move command. So move command we can change the Docker file and creating a Docker image using the Docker file one. So Docker file, if you use the Docker file, this is the default one. So if you create a different name, definitely you need to specify the path hyphen f. You can specify the path hyphen f. Entry point. So this is a CMD, guys, not entry point. This is only a CMD. So entry point. Entry point instructions will execute while creating the container. CMD and entry point both are the same. So entry point instructions will execute while creating the container. Note, CMD instructions we can override, whereas entry point instructions we cannot override. So CMD instructions we can override, whereas entry point instructions we cannot override. So example, entry point echo, welcome to tech world with Hari. So it is a entry point. So it will not override. But CMD instructions we can override, whereas entry point instructions we cannot override. So you see, so this is overrided. So here, so there is a two CMD instructions in the Docker file. But so while running the container, I'm using the date command. I'm using the date command to execute the date command. This time, so it will override. But if you if you use the entry point instructions, it will not override. It will execute. It will execute, guys. Work dir and environment. So work dir is used to set working directory for an image or a container. So work directory path. It is used to set the working directory for an image as a container. So working directory path. The Dockerfile instructions which are available after work directory, those instructions will be process from the given working directory. If you provide working directory, the whatever the Dockerfile instructions which are available for after the Docker work directory, those instructions will be processed from the given working directory. Env is used to set the environment variable. So env is set the environment work directory means we can move to the this path. Label and arg. So label will represent the data in the key value pair. It is used to add the metadata for our image. Label branch name release. Arg. It is used to avoid hard coded values in the Docker file. Something like arg branch equal to develop, label branch equal to $develop. So we can use the hard coded files. So we can pass argument values in the runtime. Docker build -t image one -build arg branch equal to future. So we can pass it in the runtime also, or we can pass it in the Docker file. User and expose. So user is nothing but we can set user for image and a container. After user instructions, remaining instructions will be processed with the given user. So given user expose, it represents on which port number our container is running, right? So if you install the server, we need to expose the 80 port because of HTTP, right? So container also. So we want to so container also. So for example, so this is the dev environment. In the dev environment, you run as a container. So this is the environment. This is the EC2 instance. So this is the EC2 instance. So in this EC2 instance, so for example, there is no Docker. There is no Docker. So you install the Tomcat and Java, and you deployed the Java code. So if you want to see outer end user, how you can see it, definitely we can expose the I80 in the target 80 in the security groups, right? Security groups. So this is the security group. In the security group, you need to provide the port for the all. It is enabled for the all. It will connect to the website, right? So we need to enable the port number. So what we need to enable? So we need to enable the port number. So port is 80. So right, in the instance you enable the port. In the Docker container itself, you need to enable the port number 80. So that is nothing but a expose. So what this is? So this is nothing but a expose. It represents on which port number our container is running. Our container is running on the 80 port. It's just like a documentation to understand the container running port number. So volume, it is used for the data storage. It is used for the data storage. Now you guys understood. From CentOS 7, I need to run my mission on CentOS 7. Run echo 1. Yeah. So so if we run command is executing while building the image, and the cmd command will execute while creating the container. Yeah, it will execute these commands, every run command, run one, run two, echo from. So these two commands are not executing while creating the image. So to build Docker image, Docker file is mandatory. So Docker file contains set of instructions, commands to execute our application. So Docker build -t my first image. Dot means search for the current location. So Docker file is in the current location. It will locate it, and it will execute from the Docker. Right, understood, guys? Docker file now. So port assigning to the container. So from Ubuntu or some containers, build the command. So download git run command while creating the image. Start Tomcat server while creating the container. So Docker container 8080, something like I want to expose 8080. and the EC2 instance also, VM also we need to expose the 8080 because of it will comes from the instance, right? So Docker volumes. So we'll discuss tomorrow, guys. So we'll show you one Docker one Docker file, guys. One Docker file will show you which file we want to show. Yeah, so we'll execute this Docker tomorrow, guys. So we'll execute. So this Docker. So there is Docker from CentOS run. It will run, right? Run yum install Java. So run mkdir. So it will create the directory. So run mkdir opt tomcat. Yeah, in the opt we can create the tomcat. So work directory means cd. This is the cd commands. It will go to the cd. Add command. So we can download from the remote and copy to the tomcat. So run tar xvf apache tar.gz. So it is executing that. So then run move Apache Tomcat to the OPT Tomcat. Yes, it will go. It will move means renaming this to this. So add is nothing but to copy the a file. Simple var to the web apps dot var. Expose 80. CMD command will run while running the container. OPT Tomcat bin catalina.sh run. So Docker build -t something like a Docker name. Docker run -p 8080 something like this is the name of the image and version of the image. So then you can check it in the local host 8080 sample. So it will run or not. We'll check it, guys. We'll check it and will run or not. Okay, guys, understood? So this is the Docker file. So this is the Docker file. So we will create tomorrow. The Docker file will create tomorrow, and let's check it if the code is executed or not. Guys, understood? So it is very simple, guys. It is very simple to write the Docker file, but you can understand the Docker keywords. If you understand the Docker keywords, it is easy to write the Docker file. Is it easy or not, guys? So what you are doing in this Docker file, you are downloading the CentOS 7, then you installing the Java, you install so create the Tomcat and go to the Tomcat folder. Then you can download the Tomcat Tomcat 9 software. Then you can extract. Then you can Tomcat create as a Tomcat. Then this is the simple var rjar file. You guys can download it from anywhere. SCA6 or something like last time we downloaded, right, somewhere, and we copied it to the what is the path opt tomcat web apps is the path. We can deploy our code into the sample.var. Yeah, so this is completed. So this is completed. After that you can expose the 80 because of this is a tomcat, right? So from HTTP we can use the HTTP, we can use the 80 port. CMD opt tomcat bin catalina.sh run. So finally, while creating the while running the container, right? That time you can start the tomcat. You can start the tomcat. Then we can check it on the local. If the container is installed with Java, Tomcat, and deployed our application, everything will be in image. Then we can verify it in the local HTTP or something like the IP address and the sample. So it will show the web page. Let's check tomorrow, guys. Understood? Guys, understood or not?
Yes, bro.
Yes, right? Yeah. So this is nothing but a sample. So you can so then you can create the Docker image. So Docker image. So then you can push it to our local repository. Then So we can run the container and we'll see it if the application is deployed or not. Okay. So initially what we did, guys, so where we deployed our application, guys, where we deployed our application. In the physical data center, you created a VM, right? You installed the VM, right? In that installed VM, you installed the CentOS 7, then you installed the Java and web server. So whatever the file you deployed, right, you installed. So this is the a data center. So that time, data center manually how we can deploy our application. Again in the in the cloud also we install the CentOS 7. So we install the CentOS 7 and we install the Tomcat and Java. Then you deploy the code and then you verified it in the, so you verified it, right? You verified it. So this is the end user. So this is the end user. So now what you are doing? Now again in the cloud. So in the EC2 instance, so install the CentOS 7 and install the what you installed. You install the Docker and run the Docker engine, Docker service. Start the Docker service. Docker service is running. Then you build the image and so run as a image. So run as a image. So here, so for example, this is the dev environment, this is the QA environment, this is the production environment, guys. So this is the production environment. The Java versions, Tomcat versions, everything will be different, guys. So this time, so in the dev environment is working fine, but in the production environment it is not working fine. So because of there is a libraries, there is a dependency between the libraries. Because of here Java Tomcat is different version, here Java Tomcat is different version, here Java Tomcat is different version. So but here, so the image, so the image is, so image is everything. So we deployed, so we downloaded as a CentOS, then we install the Java, we install the Tomcat, then we pushed the code to this and we expose this one, guys. Right? So this image, so we can run it on anywhere, either dev environment or QA environment or production environment. Guys, understood? So here you deployed as a container. In the container, you install the Java, Tomcat, everything. So whenever you want, for example, so in this one VM, one instance, we can run the number of environments. For example, only in dev environment, only one server. In QA environment, only one server. In production environment, only one server, or a staging environment. So what you can do, so the capacity, the CPU and the RAM capacity is, it will run only one container. So that time you need to stop these two containers, then you can run this container. So otherwise you can stop this dev environment. I want to run the QA environment. So you can stop these two environments and you can run this environment, right? So the portability, containerization. So once comes to the picture, for example, this is the physical. So innovation thoughts or virtualization. This innovation thoughts comes into the picture, Docker. So Docker containerization. So physical, virtual, and containerization. Guys, understood? Physical server,